Right, hello everyone. Well, this is just a test. The engine noise over the helicopter was a bit loud and it was drowning out my wonderful voice. And I just wanted to have a quick word and let you know something that's going on in my life. We make these videos and I personally do this stuff just for me. You know, I'm so pleased some people like them and are kind enough to post good comments, but I do it to keep myself active and my brain active, and I just enjoy flying helicopters. And the other side of it, which is trying to build a simulator, you know, the story of my collective control will go on, I'm sure, for a long while yet before I finally build the ultimate one that I want. And Xplane does that. Xplane, you can jump in and fly around and just as it is and have a wonderful time. And then there's the other side of Xplane where you're doing scenery and you're using graphics and knowledge, and there's some absolutely fantastic people out there doing stuff. And then there's the other side, you just jump in a helicopter like me. But I like using other people's scenery, and the Orbit scenery is great because it gets updated. It's got a great interface on the FTX gateway. In fact, they posted some updates the other day to Goodwood and Shoreham, just in case somebody hadn't noticed. But the real thing is, you know, we do it for fun and we do it for enjoyment and personal satisfaction. But on this video, I'm going to put in a bit of a plea for subscribers. My boy was 18 on Christmas Day and is an absolute joy. He's a fantastic lad. But he was the very first person I saw do something on YouTube when he was about 11. We bought him a cricket, I'm going to call it like trampoline, something you throw cricket balls at and it bounces back and you catch it. And he went off to the garden one day with his mum's phone and built this thing and was throwing the ball at it, and then came back and disappeared upstairs. And the next thing we know, he's got a YouTube video channel and he's made a film about putting this trampoline thing together that bounces a cricket ball back so you can do catching. And it got no end of hits. You know, this is like when he was 11. We knew nothing about YouTube or anything. And he took that one down, but then he got into, of course, famous Minecraft, various other things, and made videos on that and got thousands of hits. So the other day when we were having a chat and talking about my escapades in the helicopter, and I'd mentioned 39 subscribers, and I'm going to say there was a certain amount of ridicule in this. So what I'm asking for in this one, before we start this flight, even if you only subscribe for 1 month to my channel so that I can get over 50 or maybe even to 100, I would greatly appreciate it. It's not for monetization or anything like that. It's just to show that somebody at 59 who has an interest in a hobby and enjoys making videos can get over 50 subscribers. So sorry about waffling on, but just wanted to put that on. Hit that subscribe button. That's what they all say. Hit the subscribe button and watch the channel, please. Right, anyway, jumping back to where we were the other day and my complete babble about the centre line of a helicopter and keeping the tail straight. And I'd been going on about this piece of string for ages. Now, I've since learned it's possible to add this bit of string in on other helicopters. I'm not sure if you can actually place it where you want yet. I've not looked into that, but you can certainly go into Xplane, find this. I'm not going to go into any details, but it's possible to put it on the screen of other helicopters. But I've been going on about using this part as the centre line on an approach and making sure that this was on the left hand side of anything that you were going to land on. Now a few flights later, after making the video, I was flying somewhere and I had the wonderful Avitab program open, which I'll do now. And there's Avitab, and normally I'd go straight for the maps and that's it. But of course the Avitab has a beautiful white dot sitting dead centre going up here, and has a fantastic straight line that goes that way for keeping things square. So even here we're on the helipad, it's a default position. I've not squared it up, but if we jump outside I'm pretty certain it's all going to look pretty square. Maybe a little bit at an angle. I should have checked it first, but let's jump back. So the Avitab actually does not only have a fantastic map, it has a fantastic centre position, and I'm going to call it a bit like a set square. Something if you wanted to square up for a landing, or you were practicing sideways hovering, let's say down a runway, you've got it there. So any helicopter that the Avitab can run in, try and set your seat position where this will be centre, and it's there ready to go. So after all that babbling before, it was the Avitab, and open it was the answer. So let's just have a take off and go and just have a look down. We're at Shoreham. It's been upgraded. I haven't seen yet any of the upgrades or noticed anything, but this is the first fly round. So we'll go over to the back runway, and of course we can do the usual thing what I said before, keep the string on the yellow, on the left hand side when flying, keeps us in a straight line, or nearly. Or we can now move the Avitab over to the centre, so we're heading for the numbers there. We'll start a bit of a descent to help position ourselves for approaches. So one of the games I'm sure all Xplane people know, who have been doing it for a long while, certainly if you fly helicopters, one of the ways of learning tail rotor control is to fly down the centre of a runway and try and keep everything straight. So I'm going to try and get this in hover, and we'll get moving, and we'll use the white dot of the Avitab. Now we're sitting askew at the moment, so we've got to go over a bit further and then a bit of right pedal to square up. Bit of trouble getting forward movement there today. And then once we can get going, we can move over, apply a bit of tail rudder. Got a bit too far there. I'm probably a bit too high to do it well at the moment. But the idea is you follow the runway down, you keep the white line on the centre. Yeah, we're climbing. And you just go backwards and forwards until you learn where your feet go to keep the helicopter in a straight line. So let's drop down here. Definitely got to put some left trim on here. It's a bit of a fight to keep it there, but I'm not concentrating hard enough to do this well, but I can assure you I have done it well, I promise you. So let's come to a stop and rotate round. So as I mentioned before, one of the other things we can do, let's come backwards, bit of right tail. Either the top or the bottom of the Avitab can square up on the is it the apron of the runway they call it, where the grass joins. So I'm going to drop down in here, lose some height. I'm finding it extremely difficult to talk and do this today, unfortunately. What I should have done was a voiceover afterwards, I think, but I'm trying to do it all in one go. So we'll take a slow approach in to the runway, and we'll start putting the nose up a little bit to slow it down, just as we're squaring up, and then start applying a bit of right stick. And the idea is to keep, and that's completely gotten the plot, hasn't it? The idea is to try and keep the top of the Avitab, the line, in line with the end of the edge of the grass. Right, after all that, where the adjustment on my joystick is, I run one of these racing play seats to put it on, and the clamp wasn't done up, and instead of just the joystick moving, the entire bracket was moving backwards and forwards, and I couldn't hear it. So let's have a look, see what we can do. So we're going to come in on the runway. Get a little bit high, a little bit forward speed going, and then as we're coming in, apply a little bit more right pedal and get it moving sideways, trying to keep it square to the edge. Going backwards a bit, so I've got to push forward. And of course, if you go too fast, it starts picking up too much height. But I think you get the idea of the game here is to try and keep that line in line with the edge of the runway, or the skirt of the runway. Let's just stop it there. And practice that left and right. And it's not easy to do. And so you can see here we're from the top view, we're trying to get a bit of sideways speed on and line everything up, get some movement sideways before we try starting to straighten up the tail. So we're gradually straightening it up there, trying to hold it on, get it dead square and travel sideways. Gone a bit too much there. One of the, as I've mentioned earlier, of course, as it goes faster sideways, the helicopter starts getting lift and rises up. You need the collective to drop it down again, and it's quite a tough challenge in the Cadbury. It's a great deal easier in the bigger ones. So what we're going to do, we're going to fly off over to the Brighton area, have a look at some of the scenery, see if I can spot anything different. Now every now and again on the Orbit's Gateway the library section gets upgraded and you'll suddenly notice a slightly better detailed either bridge or something to do with railway lines. Not this go, I think it was last go, this bridge here, the curved one appeared, where before it was just a, well, very much just a square blocks going over. So again, they're improving that. This little bridge here has a little opening in now, and I'd have to look back to see if it was there before, I can't remember, but they're very fine details, they are adding to it. There's still the problem of buildings floating up in the air for no apparent reason, and of course when you're down low that's visually quite annoying, but I'm sure they're going to get there eventually. And that's got a nice southeast train coming along over that side, so let's go and do a Tom Cruise on that, Mission Impossible style. If I look at it, it might have actually disappeared. Yep, it stopped. One of the other good things with Shoreham and Brighton area is, as you can see, it's full of football pitches and cricket grounds and sports fields for schools, and I'm sure it's not the only town that is absolutely full of them, but it certainly seems to have enough. So it's a great place to actually practice your up and down landings as well. So if we get some forward speed on here and we rotate round, start dropping the collective. Let's have a go for that one just coming in on our left hand side there. It's got a nice white dot in the centre. Not a very square leg approach this, but let's see how we do it. Now, drop the collective, and normally I like a long descent at about 200 or 300 feet and getting it all squared up, and this is where I physically now have to force myself to move it over and get the Avitab centred up, then put the tail rotor on. And then bring it in for a nice approach, and I'm still getting the last 2 or 3 feet of with the Cadbury, getting it into a hover and then dropping it down, very difficult. So I tend to be coming in and keeping it a bit like this at a very slow speed, and then just letting the skids run on the ground rather than trying to get it into a hover. So it got off slightly there, but there we go. So a lot of babbling going on there and some exercises, but it was just how stupid could I have been to have been sitting there telling you about have a look at the bracket on the Avitab, where if I had actually opened it, which I fly all the time because it's such a great program, never having noticed that the white dot in the centre here in this line can be so useful when you're practicing hovering and everything else. So I really do appreciate everyone for taking the time to listen, and on this occasion please press the subscribe button, even if it's only for a month. I don't care. There's a household bet going on, and if I can get over 50 subscribers, as I say, even if it's only for a month, that would be wonderful. And I just hope you all have a great week, and I'll carry on producing these videos for fun as long as people are willing to watch them. So thanks a lot, and I'll be seeing you soon.